Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, today we're back on the 1950 Chevy cab, the 5-window, but we're not going to be working up here. We're going to be working up underneath. It needs some rust conversion spray up underneath, and then we're going to spray some bed liner up in there too. So the idea is we're going to spin this thing around and try to raise it up so I get a little bit of an angle so I don't have to lay on my back doing all this work. And hopefully it'll work, and I won't flip the thing over on its back and ruin it. So let's spin this thing around and see what we can do. Okay, this is what I've got so far. I made some wheel chocks for the back wheels. This cart rolls super easy, so I don't want it rolling around while I'm trying to lift it. And then I just brought the cherry picker in, the engine hoist, threw a chain around it, and we're just going to lift it. And I'm going to, check it once in a while, make sure the weight hasn't shifted. This cab isn't that heavy. I think this cart probably weighs as much as this cab, or maybe even more. So, and I threw a couple of C-clamps on that cross piece. I just put a 1/4-inch tack on there, so. When I did that, I wasn't planning on, putting lateral loads on this thing. So just in case, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So we're just going to raise this thing up as high as this thing will go, throw some jack stands under there, some blocks or whatever, get it nice and secure, and then get to work underneath. Starting to get a little light, so probably going to stop right there. That gives me a pretty good angle, maybe a little bit higher. It's only about 25 pounds before it starts going over. I'm going to stop right there. Let me get some stands up underneath here, and then we can crawl underneath there and get to work. Okay, I got up on some, these are actually plastic sawhorses, but I can lift this up. It's really about 25 to 30 pounds of weight pushing down. I wanted the stability this way more than I needed the vertical load capacity. And these are, I've had tons of heavy stuff on them. So I've got a 2x4 across both of them, some blocks holding it up, jammed up against the casters here. So it's pretty darn solid. Plus, I taught Jake how to call 911 if something falls on me, so we're covered there. Let's crawl underneath and take a look at what we're going to be working on today. Let's take a look underneath here. As you can see, it looks pretty darn good up underneath here. The owner did a fantastic job of scrubbing, cleaning, wire wheeling, sanding, just about everything I would imagine to get this clean. I can only imagine how dirty it was and grimy after being 70 years old. So what we're going to do is do a little cleanup real quick, mask some stuff off, and then spray some rust conversion on here. And when that's set up, we're going to spray some bed liner. Whatever we've got left, we're going to spray up underneath here. Hopefully we got enough to get at least one good coat on here. So let's get to it. All right, got it pretty well prepped. I want to get some of the rust conversion on these areas, and probably back in here too. So I kind of masked those so I could spray that at the same time. Got the kind of holes, battery hole and the tunnel hole covered. I'll try to find all the holes so when I spray it doesn't go squirting up through there. Got the masking paper just kind of dangling down here to kind of provide a skirt. So when I'm spraying the rust conversion, it's not that big a deal, but when I start spraying the bed liner, it kind of flings everywhere. So you can see I need to do a little bit of rust conversion over here too. Let me jump on the creeper real quick and we'll take a look underneath. All right, the way I masked this was just kind of back mask it so the paper, the tape is facing up, and then the paper just kind of flows away from it, helps it hang. So that's done pretty good. Did all the holes. Actually, there's an extra hole here. He put a different brake master cylinder on, so he drilled a new hole. He's got a plug for the extra hole, so I'm not going to weld that one in. And then just all the way around, here's the battery box access. So the idea is just to paint that lip that way. And it's going to be messy. I'll probably put some old coveralls on to do this. So that'll be our next step. Kind of blowing this off a little bit and then getting down here and getting dirty. Okay, let's take a look how we did. Pretty good job, got pretty good coverage. Kind of hard to reach in some of these areas, you can imagine. But I got good, really good coverage, I think, everywhere that I could reach. It'd be nice to have it up on a lift, obviously, and get a better shot at it, but I don't have one, so I'll do the best we can. So let's get the gun clean and let this dry, and we'll spray some bed liner underneath. Okay, the rust conversion spray is thoroughly dried now. I want to spray the bed liner up underneath here. So what I'm going to do is just basically unmask this and move it out to here, so I'm only getting it up inside here. Then we also need to mask this lip and just cover this area because I have to spray right here. And that stuff kind of splatters everywhere. So I'm just going to kind of run some masking paper along here, kind of move these over, tape that back up, and then we're pretty much ready to mix up some bed liner for undercoating. So let me get this masked up real quick, and then we'll move on to mixing. All right, let's get this stuff mixed up. Now, if you haven't seen the other videos where I used these, the bed liner for undercoating, this is made by Liner Extreme. I've used it on quite a few little projects, and it's worked out great. It's really economical. I think this 1 gallon kit, I think it's a 1.5 gallon kit by the time you mix it all together, costs like $110 or something. Then you buy the gun separately. Comes with some Kevlar, ground up Kevlar to add to it for body. So really, and it'll do a full-size truck, pretty thick. So I did an S10, my son's S10, and then I also did my full-size Chevy truck with a kit, and it worked out just great. So, you know, one of these size kits will actually do a full-size truck. As long as you're not trying to get it, you know, super thick, then you'd need to double it up. All right, we're going to go ahead and just mix everything in the gallon container here since there's, you know, less than a quart left. So we're just going to go ahead and mix it all in here. And this is mixed up 3 parts of the base, 1 part activator, 1 part reducer, and then 1 part of the Kevlar crumb or whatever ground up. So to get the rest of this activator out of here, it's 53 degrees in the shop right now. This stuff is really thick. It's like wheel bearing grease right now. So in the summertime, it was easier to handle because it was so warm in the shop. The stuff was a lot thinner. It's kind of like honey. You know, the warmer it is, the thinner it is. So what I did was I just poured the solvent in there, and we'll go ahead and just stir that up. That way we can get all the activator out of the bottom of the can since it's so thick. And we'll just let that kind of reduce that down. I'll mix this up real quick, and we'll get this poured into the base. All right, that thinned that down pretty good. I'm still going to add some more solvent to this to thin it down, make it a little easier to spray. So we'll put that back in here. We'll get this stirred up a little bit first. Now in this kit, the solvent container is actually your spray cup. So you have to save that. If you're only doing one job, it doesn't really matter. You mix it all up at once and just keep spraying until it's all gone. But in this case, I did it in little batches. Fenders first, then I sprayed the sides of the bed, and now I'm spraying to the underside of the cab. So, all right, that looks pretty good. Let's add some lacquer thinner to this right here. Mix it up, and then we'll pour it in there. This is a sticky, gooey mess, so gloves are a must. So I'm going to stir this up, figure out about what our consistency is, add some of the Kevlar, and then I probably add a little bit more solvent, lacquer thinner, to get it just to the right consistency that I want to spray, and then we'll load up the gun. Now if you decide to use this kit, don't add all the Kevlar at once. You want to do it a little bit at a time so you don't end up with a dirt clod down in there. And it just makes it easier to stir up if you just add a little bit and then a little bit more. It also allows you to figure out how much you actually want to add. You don't even have to add it if you don't want. It adds quite a bit of body to it though. So it is helpful in building film thickness. All right, that looks good. I'm going to load it into the gun, and then we'll crawl underneath there and start spraying. All right, let's get these little areas sprayed here, and then I'm going to crawl underneath. Okay, here goes nothing. Well, okay, that's done. Looks pretty good coverage. Used up all I had, so this was kind of an afterthought, excuse me, kind of a thing where I knew I wanted to spray the rust converter on it, but I had some leftover bed liner, so we sprayed that up underneath there too. Should add another layer of protection for it, I know I probably missed some spots, but you know, I just can't get up back behind there. So looks good. I'm gonna clean the gun, and then we'll get this thing unmasked real quick before this stuff sets up. Okay, let's get this unmasked. Hopefully I didn't splatter. I can see a couple of splatters up here, but it didn't make it past the paper, so that's good. If I see any, I want to take some lacquer thinner on a rag and clean it off real quick. A lot easier to do right now than later, once it hardens up all the way. Got some on the paint over here. Clean that off real quick. I'll roll that up, it'll never come out of the trash can. All right, let's crawl underneath, see how we did. Let's check out these sides. They came out pretty nice. Able to protect some of that new steel, then kind of make everything else more uniform. Same thing over here, looks good. All right, let's crawl up underneath, see how we did. Okay, let's take a look at it. Looks pretty good across there. Shiny, shiny black. It's kind of hard to see back in here, but there's that lip. Got that really nice. Move the light around here for you. Along that ledge there, all came out pretty good. Underside, looks way better than it did, that's for sure. You could eat off the bottom of this truck now. Alrighty, that wasn't too bad. Okay, that just about wraps up this video on getting the rust conversion sprayed up underneath. And then we used the bed liner once again as an undercoating. We had just enough of that kit left over from all the other work we did to get a nice even coat up underneath there. It looks great. And once this firewall is painted blue all the way down to that lip, it's really going to bring it together nicely. This truck's going to look really nice when it's all done. I'm glad to get this kind of dirty job out of the way, and I can get get this thing back on its wheels. It's kind of, you know, a little janky here, a little sketchy setup I've got, and I don't want to have to worry about it overnight. But thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint and Fabrication. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and if you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up. It really helps promote the channel. We'll see you on the next one.